I can start with by introducing the meeting. Thank you everyone for coming in, for joining in the conversation on circularity and sustainable fashion. We have deliberately brought in people we feel are stakeholders, major stakeholders in the creative sector, and that is the National Arts Council and Curriculum Development Center. Then we have also Expressive Arts Association, Teachers Association. We have with us Mr. Akin Banda from the British Council, and they are the major sponsors of this conversation. So maybe I can introduce myself. My name is Betty Chilonde. I'm the founder for the Bulongo Incubator for Fashion and Creative Arts. And we are an organization, a community organization that aims to promote skills development and skills transfer among creatives in Zambia. And this is one way for us to create awareness around sustainable fashion and circularity, as we are hoping that designers can adopt this system and use it in their businesses or to create their products. So for now, I think I'll hand over to Mr. Banda to briefly talk about the British Council and the works that you are doing, especially with the creative sector in Zambia.
Thank you so much, Betty. And may I just recognize the presence of Professor Kanyati, Mr. Chipindi, Director, National Arts Council. And I think I said hello already to Mr. Chibwinja and Betty earlier on. It's actually, and also my colleague Bumba, I can see him online as well. It's actually a great honor to be
We can't hear you there, Mr. Banda. I don't know if can anybody else hear Mr. Banda? I can't hear him.
No, and I think he has frozen.
Oh, okay. Okay. Bumba, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, so apologies, I will not be able to switch on my camera. I'm quite in a very crowded place. Good morning to everyone.
Good
Thanks
morning,
for having
Bumba.
me. Yes.
I was thinking that maybe since Mr. Banda, we are not able to hear him, maybe you can continue on the side of the British Council.
Please enlighten me on the question asked. Apologies, I joined a little bit late.
Okay, so we are talking about the work that the British Council is doing in the creative sector in Zambia, and in particular with this program. So maybe you can just briefly talk about that.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So as we might be aware, the British Council, I think, is official UK organization for cultural relations and education opportunities. So we work in education, the creative sector, and I think the main concept, the idea around it is sort of build cultural relations and support sort of the connection between Zambia specifically and the UK in this context. So we work quite broadly. In arts specifically, we try to build partnerships or work through partnerships to build sort of capacity and sort of support the already existing structures, or sort of provide connection between Zambia and the UK in terms of creatives, so they can identify sort of common grounds and opportunities for them to work collaboratively together. With respect to this program, we're trying to do something similar where we had people from different parts of the world, Zambia being represented as well as the UK, and we sort of then try to bridge between how then is the fashion industry utilizing or going green, I think in summary say, in how the resources are utilized, how they're gotten in terms of the process between which how the creative source for their materials, designers in this context, how they use them, and then how people dispose of them afterwards. So it's about looking at the ecosystem and make it more environmentally friendly and more sustainable, I think more specifically, because and I think that the process sort of came on at the right time, given the COVID crisis, that people need to be sustainable, given there's a lot of economic challenges that are going on around the world. The idea is then how do creators become more sustainable by sort of either reusing or recycling sort of material, or using more sustainable material that they can sort of profit from long term. So other than that, I think we still quite broadly work in, I think key to our work mostly just sort of try to link creatives from around the world so that they can, I think, thrive in building the creative industry. As a summary of it, Mr. B, I see you're back. Would you like to add a point or two that I might have missed? You're still on mute, Mr. B.
Thanks, Bumba. I think you may have said almost everything, but sorry about that. But we call it TIA. I think you may have mentioned about, I don't know at what point, because I was just trying to explain who we are, and I think you've mentioned, but maybe just to add that in our work in the arts, we are actually in the whole sub-Saharan Africa, but for us here in Zambia, we belong to the Southern Cluster, where we have 8 countries working together. And our work basically has spread out to over 8 countries in the cluster now. There has been a particular focus in recent years on fashion and design, with design futures, making matters, fashion futures, and regionally, the fashion industry is getting on, and we have series every Friday on this topic. But also just to add that this is actually aligning very well with COP26. As you know that the UK will be hosting COP26 this November, and how this actually is relating very well in terms of sustainability of the environment, you know, in a similar way in which Design Futures does. Like when I read the profile that Betty put in place, it's actually suiting in very well. Our focus has largely been also in the areas of creative economy, that is working with local hubs. I think Bumba touched a little bit on that. So the creative enterprise, social enterprise, connections, where we have the Zambian young creatives getting connected within the sub-Saharan Africa, but also getting to the UK to see how their colleagues are working. That has actually just expanded the horizons in terms of knowledge, you know, for our hubs here, like Betty's hub, for example, and we've actually expanded our networks, the exchange of ideas, the audiences, you know, you can name it, but it's just like whole range of good experiences, you know, life-changing experiences at the same time, where when hubs managers get to see what their colleagues are doing elsewhere, whether it's within sub-Saharan Africa or in the UK. And when they come back, they now expand their work. And I think this is just one example which Betty is doing when she went to the UK, I think a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, 2019, somewhere there. We're in 2021 now. I think when she came back now, she's really expanding on Design Futures when she went to attend on the project on making matters. So this is just great experience. I think that is being shared here. So I think in a nutshell, that's it. As British Council, as Bumba mentioned, we are very happy to continue supporting hubs. Our role basically is just to connect people, and then they move on their own. And
I can see, I think he's having a problem again, but thank you so much, Mr. Banda, for talking about the programs that you are doing. We are equally grateful for the opportunity that you have accorded the incubator to expand on Design Futures, and this is why we are trying to bring in as many people as possible. For example, the Rockville University, being the only university that is offering the highest qualification in fashion education in Zambia. So the whole point is really to talk about fashion design education and creative education, and see exactly how creatives can contribute to the economy of the country. I see Madam Maureen Sumbwe has joined us. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think I'm going to move to Mr. Chipindi from National Arts Council. Mr. Chipindi, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Betty, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. You're there?
I can jump in.
Yes, please.
Yes. Can I jump?
Yes, please, you can go
So
ahead.
my camera has been bewitched by someone. I don't know what's going on. So I can't see myself. I don't know if people can see me.
We can't see you, but we can hear you very clearly.
Okay, thank you. So I'm from the National Council of Zambia. The National Council of Zambia is a government agency which links the creative sector to the government. Basically, we play a dual role. We are a developer and we're a regulator. In developing the arts, we partner with institutions like the British Council, Betty Bulongo, and many others to undertake interventions in the sector that will transform the value chain in whatever form that we are taking. In the past, we've done a number of programs which have included financial support, technical support, among others, to the arts. That has been quite interesting. And we've seen a lot of shifts in that context, which I'll share in a bit. But basically, we are grateful to the partnership that we have for the British Council. I think we've worked very well. David, Akim, and Bumba, we are always talking and engaging. So we find it very interesting, I think, that we are here. And I'm excited to hear about the Rockview program. I was not aware of it. And I think I'll interact a bit more with the Professor Kanyati offline to see how we can talk. Anyway, so for the council, I think what we've seen for the National Arts Council, what we've seen in the last few years is that even as a council internally, we've shifted our focus. Previously, it was about supporting arts for art's sake. And we had a lot of programs for many years, for like 20 years. We were really looking at helping artists identify their talent, nurturing amateur artists and things like that. But since 2018, I think 2017, 2018, after we had the partnership with the European Union, we started moving into the business of the arts, and our focus has really intensified in that direction. So we are really now moving into positioning ourselves to support the creative sector. So how we see ourselves, we no longer see ourselves as a government agency that facilitates mere engagements, but as a government agency that supports small businesses that are growing. Most of these artistic businesses, you find that there are different stages of business growth. Some are startups, some are medium, some are quite advanced. And we've focused a bit more on that. A few years ago, we hosted the Arts Business Forum. We are trying to host another one this year, probably on the Copper Belt. I'll share a bit more information for those that are interested. To sort of keep on the conversation around the business of the arts and to strengthen it. So the way we see our role in the creative sector, apart from regulating the arts, is really to provide for networks and support. That's why we're very excited to partner with the British Council, because we've worked very well with the British Council, and I must commend the team for the work they've done in supporting hubs. I've literally seen the number of creative hubs increase from, I think, one social enterprise to, I think we are moving to 6, 7 hubs that are already working and part of this network. So in that context, we see that there's a lot of a good opportunity for the arts. So that's one thing that we do. And also in our work with artists, we've just concluded the empowerment scheme, the presidential empowerment scheme, where we were positioning it as a way of injecting finance into the sector. We had an opportunity to have that fund, and people were asking us whether we'll give grants, and we said we can't give grants to businesses, so we said we'll give them loans. And so the idea is to really push for the formalization of the creative sector, for the business mindset to come in. It's a very difficult process. We need a lot of support, but those are the questions we are trying to push. So and we are trying to ask artists to ask different questions about the impact of their work on business, the issue of relevance, the impact of their work on the environment. A lot of our people are craftspeople. They depend on the environment. What does that mean? So even for the fashion sector, there's been a lot of discussion on local fabrics and local prints and local colors and local inks and things like that. And we hope that the council, we can be in a position to push our people in that context. Also, with the advent of the COVID, we have to think of how can we be able to create resilience in the sector. We're just having some conversations with UNESCO, I think a month ago, about the need for resilience in the creative sector and how this can be done. And for us to create resilience, we know that we need to build on on sustainable models. And I think the conversation we're having today is very interesting in that context, in terms of how does the arts give back. Finally, I think for us, one of the things we are still struggling with, and we hope we can get to grips with this, is how do we regulate businesses? How do we rate artistic businesses? And this is a conversation we are really still trying to look at our regulations. There are a few things that we've come up with to help our artists, but we are still not there. And this is a question we are trying to wrestle with. And even as we talk of the fashion sector, we are saying, how do we help regulate businesses for business growth, creative businesses to be part of the mainstream creative economy? I thought these are the few thoughts I can share. I look forward to the engagement today and to hear a bit more from others and the work that they are doing. Thank you.
Mr. Chipinde, you mentioned about the Presidential Initiative Fund and that you have just concluded with it. Have the artists accessed this fund already, and what were their reactions towards getting a loan as opposed to a grant?
It was controversial. It was very difficult to convince people that this should be loans instead of grants. But we mentioned that, look, for it to be sustainable, for it to be revolving, we need to position it that way. So far, I'm happy to say that when we did the first call, we received about 1,306 applications, which we processed, of which we selected 152 applicants. Of these 152, you discover that of them, most of them have already accessed the loans, mostly through purchase of equipment and things like that. And we are now just going into the phase where we're dispersing the working capital, which is about 30% of the loan. So yeah, a lot of them are quite excited. What we saw, what was very interesting for us, because one of the requirements we put for application was that you must be a registered business. So we saw a surge in the formalization of creative businesses. Some were registered under PACRA, some were registered in under cooperatives. So already that was a positive impact of the work that we did. So yeah, it was very difficult to bring the conversation. Generally, it's difficult to talk about business of the arts, and the strong feeling. That's why I mentioned that we are struggling with the issue of regulation. There is a conversation around the world where the creative businesses are regulated by a different body. So that they're just focusing on their business. And then the sort of the amateur arts, community amateur arts are also supported by different government agencies. That way you find there's a bit more balance, because it's very difficult for us to really balance the business and the arts for art's sake. We have to find the balance, and sometimes we do the arts for art's sake a bit more to the detriment of the business, or we do the business more to the detriment of the arts. I mean, from the 1,000 applications we received, there were a few who were very good community impact projects, but we couldn't support them because they had no clear business case. So I think those are the thoughts. Thank you.
Mr. Shpindi, you mentioned also that National Arts Council provides technical support and financial support. Financial support being what you are trying to do right now. Now, on the technical support, I want to believe that you know, artists, it's not everyone that is formally educated, for example, and the arts can be learned informally, actually, and as well as formally. And when you mentioned the business plans and you know, having a business side of it, most of the time you find that artists will have the talent and they know exactly what they are talking about and how they want to impact. But just like you have rightly put it, they may not understand the business side of it. And I think that is what they need assistance in. Do you have any program that perhaps partners with other organizations to offer things like financial literacy, for example, and maybe business skills, writing or entrepreneurship, and just to mention a few?
Yeah, thank you, Betty. Previously, we had partnered with the ILO and the Finnish embassy to do some training in business skills for artists. But the angle we are trying to push right now, our website is down. Yeah, we after all, we are a government agency. Sometimes things don't always. We are struggling with internet, but we launched a few years ago, if you remember, something called the Arts Resource Hub, which is an online resource tool which we are trying to develop, where we are trying to put in a few more resources for artists to access and build their capacity. Because where we've seen the gap is that most of the artists are lacking business development services. And this is where we want to use the hub to push in that conversation. But in terms of training, I mean, we haven't done much with partners. I know Bulongo has done some work, but we haven't supported much in that context. And we hope through the work that maybe Bulongo is doing, the British Council is doing, we can offer an opportunity for more artists to train. In the film sector, at least there's been the Multi Talent Factory that has come through, it's helping. But for the fashion, it's quite very difficult for people to really position themselves. So we have that resource hub, which we're trying to do. We did a bit of business training skills for artists. But moving forward, we look to tap into a bit more opportunities to bring the business development services into the arts, and as a council will just be like the signpost that points artists to different services that they may need. Even simple things like registering for your business, taking advantage of tax incentives that exist, and many other things. We hope we can position ourselves in that context. Thank you.
Do you think, or would you say then that art is a potential contributor to the economy of the country?
I stopped saying potential a few years back. I think we are contributing to the economy. I think Betty Bulongo, for example, I've seen you employ a lot of people. I know a few more people are doing a lot of work. When we have a concert, we have thousands of young people. So I no longer say potential. I say we are contributing to the economy. And if we are supported and well positioned, we can even contribute more. I think we need to really bring in the commercialization of the arts. And I don't know, I haven't checked the profile of the people here. It would have been good also to have someone from commerce, trade and industry, someone from PACRA, because we need to start packaging these things for the sake of the sector. So I think we are contributing. We just need to document what we are contributing, take stock of it, and then share these stories. People need to know who is doing what, all these hubs. I know, for example, the Sotambe Film Festival, where British Council has been involved for some time, is just concluding a fantastic training which reached up to thousands of young people on the copper belt in the time of COVID. So that's not a small thing. So I think we're already contributing. We just need to take stock of what we are contributing and tell our stories in a creative way. Thank you.
So when you say that you could do much with support, what kind of support are you looking for and from whom?
So for the council, one, I think what is very critical, and thank you for these questions. They're very good questions. I don't know that I went to question asking school. I don't know.
No, not at all. I'm just a creative in making clothes and maybe I'm an interested party, you know.
Yeah, so for us, I think what is very critical is about capacity building internally. We are really struggling to find how do we build capacity for business development within the council. We've been talking of the possibility of having an officer dedicated to supporting businesses sitting at the National Council of Zambia. So mostly it's capacity and also network opportunities. Platforms like the Arts Business Forum, for example, are very important network platforms where artists interact with the business world. You can imagine many artists are scared to go into a bank and get a loan, the financing that they need. So for us as a council, we are seeing more of a question of capacity building, reviewing our legislation and things like that. You said from who? For the government, obviously. The government has done what they can, but we can do a bit more. From partners like a British Council, I think the British Council has done quite a lot. We are very grateful. And we can always do a bit more together with them. We were on a very serious speed when the COVID came. I think we were disturbed. There were a lot of programs which were in the pipeline, including the summit, the Edinburgh Summit, and many other platforms like those. Those can really help us to build and strengthen the capacity at all levels of the value chain. That's what we see. I don't want to say financing because I feel financing should really come at the end of the process, particularly to the artists. From the 1,300 applications we received, we only got 152. Now, there were so many brilliant ideas out there. Young people were trying to come up with an online platform for selling music. There were all these creative ideas which we couldn't take on board. So if you, as a council, if we're able to sit down with those young creative people, help them package their proposals and submit them to the relevant financial partners, I think that things can work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shpidi. Having worked with artists for a long time, I'm sure, I'm interested to know how they have shifted their mindsets from, you know, being on the receiving end to, you know, being contributors to the strike that you are trying to do. Do you think that artists, you know, willingly there to support all your efforts? Are they willing to put in the work, to go through the process? You mentioned, you know, the business registration. You mentioned that, you know, others are getting to write proposals and all those things. Do you think, how would you say maybe rate the change of mindset from being on the receiving end to able contributors or supporters of all the efforts that you are trying to make as a council?
Thank you, Betty. Artists have been very, very positive. I tell you, there are a few creative businesses that are still in the old days of thinking, of give me baking ball, but a lot more have stepped out and they are doing what they can do to make a difference. I know, for example, I know the British Council is familiar with Yoweri Chungu Films. I think he was one of the beneficiaries of the hubs training, which was conducted in Harare. Yoweri is doing fantastic work with his team. He's very positive. He's pitching up his business to Mouth Choice. he's talking to trade kings. He has really positioned himself very differently, those young people. And last time I was speaking to them, they are very busy. They have this house here, they are doing this work there. I can't even see some of them because they are business people, they are busy, they have no time for a director who wants to just check on them. They are working, you know. And so I've seen there's been a lot of positive energy coming through from different aspects. I can say music, film, and fashion, they've led the way. Even the crafts, I think a few crafts people have positioned themselves. We still have a bit of challenges within the art sector. In theater, we still have a bit more work we need to do, particularly because we are restricted with infrastructure issues. Dance also, I've seen there's a lot of, a few dance groups have gone professional, a few others are still behind. So there are a few artists I can call and I can tell you to say this gentleman or this person has been employing this number of people and they're doing this work and they're having this impact. So there are a lot of people around the country, artists all over who are really doing the work. Film has led the way, as I've mentioned. Fashion also has done a good job. Crafts and music, but others are still lagging. So artists, I think, have come up, and it's up to us now to tell their stories, to capture these stories and to share them so that people understand that art is a business, art is a career, art is a job, and we are part of the economic community of this country. We are part of this country, and we are contributing. Even within COVID, we are contributing and we're making a difference. Thank you.
Mr. Chipendi, it's so good to hear all the positive things coming from the National Arts Council. I'm sitting here and besides myself with excitement, you know, that we are moving in the right direction.
Yes, we are, and it's been a work of everyone. I think I must commend the British Council, the British government through the British Council and the PEP Zambia project. I must commend them for the work they're doing. Yourselves, Betty, the artists, the academicians. I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to interact a bit more with the Rockview University. They are really coming to the party, and Zambians they are no longer interested in crying and the Boma Yanganepo thing. Those are things of the past. So it's a good time.
Yes. Allow me just now to recognize the presence of Dr. Chishala from Rockview University. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Betsy. Good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning, the presenter, Mr.
Chipendi.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, sir.
Mr. Chipendi.
Thank you. Welcome. Yeah, thank you.
It's a pleasure interacting with you.
Thank you.
It is so good to just have the education sector, you know, the academicians, as you say, Mr. Chipendi, coming on board, you know, and giving all the support towards fashion education and in particular, what we are trying to introduce, circularity and, you know, sustainable fashion and just sustainability in the creative industry, really. Just like you have mentioned, Mr. Chipendi, you know, artists are rising up and they are recognizing themselves as businesses. And I think this is where now we want to say, okay, so what exactly are you doing in your business as an artist? What are you contributing? And even as you are contributing to the economy, are you taking care of the environment? You know, I want to believe really that artists are, you know, contributors to or preservers of culture, a people's culture really. And I think it will be interesting to know what Rockview University has in the content of the fashion education. I think I'll leave that now to Professor Kanyati to talk about what Rockview is doing in the fashion education sector and, you know, exactly what is in the content that will allow these people to contribute positively to society once they are out in the industry. I'll leave that to you, Professor Kanyati. Professor Kanyati, are you there? Hello? Can you hear me?
I think he's speaking. We can't just get him. His video is on and we can see him talking, but we can just hear him. Possibly connectivity there in terms of the headsets, maybe.
Okay, let me try. We can hear you, but I think you are quite faint. Can you hear me? Oh yes, I can hear you. A little bit faint though. I don't know, maybe just try to check your, I can hear you myself. I don't know if others can hear him, but I can hear you, or very faint.
I can't hear him, but maybe, Professor, if you remove the headsets, maybe try to use just the, you have, oh, I can read the lips, that is, and get what he's saying, but hello. What happened? It was very loud earlier on.
Yes. Mr. Chibwinja, are you there?
I'm in his office now. Just give me a minute.
All right. Okay. We shall give you a minute. Yeah. So these are the small hiccups for, as we are moving towards the digital era.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Okay.
You are now again a bit faint. When you stood up, it was quite clear. Yes, you are a bit faint.
Go on. Thank you very much, Madam President.
We can hear you well now. Thank you. Yes, we can get you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam President, for this initiative. And at this moment also, I take I would want to recognize the presence of Sorry, sir. Sorry.
Okay, maybe if Mr. Chibunja has his connection on, perhaps you could ask him to switch off or to exit the meeting, and then maybe we'll be able to. There won't be any echo. I can hear you, but a little bit faint. Perhaps you can use Mr. Chibunja's connection. All right, thank you.
To link with the Professor Kanyati in the background. I want to really establish what is the problem, because we've never had this hiccup before. We had a meeting, a long one yesterday, without any interruption. So just give me space. I speak to the people around there.
Thank you.
Is that
Thank
all
you,
right?
Doc. That is fine. That is
Please,
fine.
please.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for missing you.
Oh, but I think just to mention that these activities are quite interesting, especially with the fashion design and just the project itself that you want to do. Um, when we talk about how people are recycling, as it were, in terms of clothes, before, after, and post production, how they're able to utilize that concept and skill. I think it's very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing more people joining in your training sessions, your webinars, workshops next week, because I think it's a great opportunity. I don't know if there's been other people who have done this kind of training before, but I think that if people are willing out there, this is a great opportunity, especially that it's a free course, so to speak. I mean, the only expense to them is bundle just to connect and participate. I mean, you can just get that for free, someone offering you this opportunity. So well done. I want to thank you so much. But I think also to add to this, as I mentioned earlier, COP26 is coming in November, and there are a lot of activities lined up to that effect. There is an opportunity for the creatives to sort of like apply for some of these things. For example, there's an open call that we may have posted on our social media platforms. You can just like our social media platforms, which is Bumba knows these things well, but the @ ZM British. If you wanna just be interested to join that, you will see a lot of opportunities that British Council is having, providing. So we have the social media in terms of the Twitter handles, Twitter platforms, Instagram, as well as Facebook pages. Please do visit these platforms that we have, because all opportunities that we have are right there. So why not take up these opportunities whenever they are made available? There is something that is running that to do with youth engagement. There's sort of like a global competitions and school engagement when it comes to school side of things. But there's also an opportunity for £5,000 where people can apply relating to COP26. This is an excellent opportunity as well that young creatives can sort of like get on board if they want to. There is a project called Destination Zero. So Destination Zero is something looking at climate innovation, where people can receive funding and coaching to bring people their ideas into life. And this application is open. Deadline is 14th of February. And so it's all around innovation challenge that people can apply. So if out there you are one of those who feel like you are a creative and you'd like to participate, and you are within the age range of 18 to 35, and you want to make a difference in addressing climate change, then please get in. We are looking for ideas that will help communities to tackle climate change negative impacts and get closer to zero carbon emissions. And you can just use fashion is just one example that you can actually utilize that. So 10 successful candidates will receive £5,000 financial support for each winning innovation by end of March 2021. And then there'll also be coaching sessions between April and August 2001. And there's also a chance to showcase your innovation in November at a global audience through our channels and potentially, if possible, at the COP26. So all these are opportunities that creatives can actually get into it. So please apply for the Destination Zero on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter that we've posted through. So I thought maybe I could just add that as we wait for.
Thank you so much, Mr. Banda. I'm looking forward to working with that team, especially that now we are creating the virtual museum. It would be nice to have that chance also to archive what is happening, especially as we drive the sustainable fashion forward. I think Dr. Professor Kanyati is able to hear us now. Are you able to hear us now, sir? Professor Kanyati? Are you able to hear us?
I think it's muted.
I'm able to get you, Madam Betty.
Oh, okay. Now we can hear you loud and clear. Okay, you can go on, sir.
I can go ahead.
Yes, please.
Okay. Greetings to everyone, all stakeholders involved in this discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Betty, for this initiative. Thank you very much for this initiative, Madam Betty Chilonda. And also, as Rockville University, we thought it is fit also to partner in this initiative so that we discuss matters that are contained in fashion education. To start with, I'll introduce myself. I'm Professor M. Kanyati. I'm Dean School of Education and Humanities at Rockville University. And Rockville spearhead educational design and technology. Like we know different titles at different levels. At Rockville University, we offer fashion education as textile design and technology, taking note of the aspect of the textile, the aspect of G in our daily activities of life. You know, I get a little bit disturbed when one of the presenters indicated that they don't know about Rockville University. Most of the time when people are asking us about Rockville University, I tend to ignore small questions because you'll be thinking that everyone knows about Rockville University. So let me a little bit clear the air on what is Rockville University. Rockville University is a private run institution based in the city of Lusaka, and it is recognized by Education Authority, by the teaching council, because it is registered by these stakeholders. At the same time, it is also registered with the Nursing Council of Zambia, also Health Profession Council of Zambia, meaning that besides the fashion that we are offering, we have other programs that we offer at Rockville University. At Rockville University, we endeavor in creating an enabling environment in order to acquaint or to teach our students to meet the professional excellence when they leave Rockville University as they go into the society. Now we go to our issue of textile design. I will narrow down to textile design. As we offer textile design as Rockville University at different levels, certificate, diploma, where we have a diploma in home economics, and the fashion education is embedded in home economics. Also, we have a diploma in primary education, where we have expressive arts and also fashion activities are embedded in expressive arts. We offer at the bachelor's level, a Bachelor's of Science with education in textile design and technology. Also, we offer a Bachelor's of Science in textile design and technology. This one narrows or gives students to go into the industry direct. And the other program gives a room for students to get into the education sector. We offer also a Master's of Science in textile design and technology, then Doctor of Philosophy in textile design and technology. Rockville University at the moment in Zambia is one of the universities that is offering this textile design and technology at its highest level. And as we offer this program, we have affordable fees. At the same time, we give bursaries. A lot of people have been given bursaries and they've managed to learn at an affordable price because of Rockville University. When it comes to textile design to the society, why is it important for us as Rockville University to teach textile design? We as Rockville University, as we try to impact theory, at the same time to change theory into practice in our daily activities, we have laboratories that assist us where our students work from. At the same time, we've employed qualified people who can teach the students so that at the end of the day, they can meet what is required in the society. Self-reliance is one of the aspects that we teach our students. Enterprising, at the same time, we teach them to be contributors to the economy of today and the future. So we teach them to form their own companies or to join existing companies so that at the end of the day, we can have a better economy within Zambia or in different societies of Zambia. Leadership skills, we teach them. Management skills, we teach them. Creativity, we teach them. Interpersonal skills, we teach them. Then at the same time also, we endeavor in teaching them decision making. As I'm speaking right now, I speak with the confidence because as Rockville University, we've managed to teach students, to educate them. And at the moment, as I'm talking, most of the students that have acquired degrees at different levels at Rockville universities, they are employed in different faculties of the economy. Some, soon after acquiring the same programs, they were promoted. At the same time, some they've managed to acquire enough knowledge that they can impact to their learners with confidence. So this is one of the things that Rockville University has managed to do. As Rockville University, with our laboratories in place, we make sure that the classes are always clean, tight, and well ventilated to resemble what is there in the industry. At the same time, arrangement of furniture is of importance. We understand that in a clothing industry, we have ways of doing our own things. So also those things, we teach them that the furniture needs to be taken care of. At the same time, we endeavor in the safety of the students. The safety of the students is very cardinal, so that also as they go out in the field, in the industry, they also make sure that they implement what they would have learned at Rockville University. So you find that Rockville University has been doing this for the past 7 years, and it has managed to inject a lot of students in the industry. And the students, they are doing fine out there. As Rockville University, we have been also collaborating with the different entities. The list is endless, but I'll name a few. where we are, as the partners, we are involved in curriculum development of textile design programs in different institutions or even government or private institution as a consultant, meaning that the information that we have, we're managing also to interact with others. Also, we've been very much involved in the JETS, the Junior Engineering Technical Skills, whereby us as Rogue University, we partner with them, the youngsters, we teach them on how to do with the textile design and technology at different levels. We have been involved at the district, sometimes at the cluster, until we reach national. Also, we have been involved very much with the skills competition. Madam Betty will agree with me. At one point, we even hosted the same function as Rogue University. So we've been on the map. Those who don't know about us is, it's just a matter of click of a button where you can the following lines. You can call. I had managed to connect the projector. There is the number that you are supposed to call this admissions office, 0955 151 517, 0973 184 162, 0967 976 961. Thank you very much, Madam Betty, and the other people who are connected at this moment.
Professor, before you go, you mentioned, you talked about the
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, just before, I'm sure that a lot of people that will join in the conversation will be very excited to know that now someone can study fashion and design technology, at a degree level. I know that we only have certificate and actually we have certificate and craft only at the moment, and you are the highest, you are the only university offering the highest qualification in fashion. So I'm sure that a lot of people will want to come and know. So like, how long will the bursaries stay? How long can you offer these bursaries for people to come and join in the fashion?
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Betty. The bursary for Rogue University is when you join Rogue University, if you are doing a program, for example, I'll give you a good example of a bachelor's degree in textile design and technology, which runs for 4 years. This program, you'll be given a bursary that will run for 4 years. And this bursary, when you are given, you are not supposed to bring back the money to Rogue University. When you are done with the school, it means that's all. So we give this bursary at different percentages, 25%, 50%, 75%, and sometimes to the extent of 100%. Why? Because us, we believe that we have to tap the skill, we have to teach the students so that at the end of the day, they contribute to the society. And at the same time, we are a pro-poor university whereby we believe that it's not everyone who can afford to pay school fees. People want to learn the skill, but at the same time, you find that they are deterred from learning the skill versus the theory because they don't have the resources which are required. So as Rogue University, we are saying that join Rogue University, and at the same time, when you join Rogue University, you get the bursary and the money you will not return back. Thank you, Madam Betty.
Okay, looking at the topic, we're introducing secular design business systems in the creative industry, but then also looking at the topic for this particular discussion about how you are contributing or what it is that you are doing exactly to bring about sustainability. I want to know your position, or how you position yourselves in the research for textiles. For example, when we talk about biotextiles, say, for example, banana fibers or pineapple fibers, the waste that is, and turning it into leather, turning it into all sorts of materials that creatives can use. How would you say Rockville University is positioning itself in the research part of the education?
Thank you very much. Rockville University has been very much instrumental in research. We have introduced the research at each and every level of the institution, whereby someone at the diploma level is supposed to do a research. So if we are doing a textile design, you are supposed to come up with a paper that is in line with the textile design at that level. So you find at the end of the day, we've put mechanism that students, they are supposed to follow the research process and come up with the new knowledge that can be disseminated into the society. So you find we have a lot of things or articles that we are recycling in our field, whereby we encourage learners or students that even the society, that it's not about after using certain material and you have some pieces that are remaining, then you find that you need to throw them away. Some, they even flush them into the latrine. Some, they throw them in the rubbish bin, which is not a sustainable way of keeping those material. So we encourage our students within the curriculum, whereby a student is told, no, from that you can make a mat, from that you can make a door. Thank you very much, Madam.
So in short, you teach sustainability in fashion. I know that you do, because I just wanted it to come from the horse's mouth.
Yes.
Yeah, just to,
yes, we teach sustainability. Nothing that is not important. Everything that we have as our material is very crucial, is very important. So we continuously encourage them that there is no need of throwing the material that you have. Make sure that if it is remaining, be creative, find another way of utilizing that material. Thank you.
Let's talk about culture. Do you think this is something that is embedded in what you are teaching? Because designers play a very huge role in guiding or directing society in the way that they design the clothes, and in the trends. People follow trends, and they follow what the designers are going to design and put out there for people to wear. Would you say that this is something that you encourage designers to do at your institution?
Definitely, we are doing that. We have courses like, for example, we have fashion trends and analysis. A course like fashion trends and analysis, it brings the history of the fashion. At the same time, it gives us focus of what is happening. The current activities and the focus is given there. So it drives us to check what is happening in the society for us to preserve what the society requires. We have, for example, when we are talking of the culture, we have colors that are very significant to certain cultures. We have, for example, I've seen with the animal skin colors, with the Ngoni, you find that it is very important for them. Those colors, the moment you see the animal skin colors, it resembles a certain culture, a certain group. So it is very important, as we are teaching us textile education, to also take keen interest on the culture. We fight to preserve the culture at all costs. Because if we don't preserve the culture, we'll have degradation of many things in the society. For example, will call for immorality maybe in the society. So we need to take note of that. As we are teaching these youngsters, the learners, and we get in the society, we keep on checking on those activities if we are managing. At the same time, besides fashion trends and analysis, we have also a course called African Textiles, which draws African now to think about their different nation, their different society, where they come from, in the quest of preserving. The moment, that's why you have noticed in our activities, if someone just put on a certain attire, I'm a Zambian, and I put an attire that is having the Zambian flag colors, I'll feel good. Why? Because there is something that I need to preserve. So we need to keep on checking on those activities. Also, I would take a note of different societies, like we have whereby the kings, the queens, they have a certain dress code that they put on. Why? Is because we need to appreciate the culture. So we need to preserve this culture because it gives us dignity in our society. And at the same time, it guides the society on how to move on and how to do things correctly. Thank you very much, Madam.
Professor, you mentioned that you develop curriculum with different stakeholders.
Yes.
Yes. Would you be able to tell us what kind of content you put in there, and at which stage and for which target group?
The curriculum, when you are developing a curriculum, it depends with the level that you are working for. So the major principles when we are developing the curriculum in the education sector is to look at the vision of the nation, what it wants to acquire at a certain period of time. So we look into that. Then at the same time, when we are looking at the textile industry, we have two major components that we normally take note of. There is the theory aspect. Again, we have the practical aspect. We need to change the theory, what we are thinking and what, into the practice. So whenever we are developing a curriculum, we think of that. So you think at one point when you were developing one of the curriculum, which I can't disclose at the moment in some section, we looked at looking at how the environment is moving. We looked at how leather can also be used in the society. How even we look into matters of our environment where we have different textile things that we can use, but we are not utilizing them. For example, you look at the different trees that can produce the textile, but you find at the end of the day, as we are not utilizing them, because we are handicapped somehow because of technology. We need a certain technology for us to achieve certain activity or agendas. So you find from this side of being African or in the Zambian context, you find that most of the time when we think of an activity in textile, we need to take note of time frame. When you want to produce something, it is very important. So time frame, when you are producing a garment, you take seconds or you take a month. Which one is better for sustainability? So also some content that we have included in the curriculum, we have courses like fashion selection, whereby here we are looking at what is happening in the fashion industry, the choices of the different articles that a person can choose so that they can put on. Also, we dealt on textile. Textiles is a component alone which need to be dealt with, whereby we are dealing with the different fibers at the end of the day, we deal with the different fabric so that learners and the society has an appreciation of this. The characteristics of these fabrics need to be known by the society. If the society doesn't understand the characteristics of the fabrics, that's when you discover that people doesn't know how to use that fabric, doesn't know how to care for that fabric. So when we are talking of sustainability, again, the fabric will not last for long. So we need to take note of that. Another component, Madam Betty, which is very cardinal, is clothing and business, where we are saying we don't need to just learn activities in class, the industry way. We need also to fuse business and clothing so that when you are working in an industry, afterwards, when you go out, you need to form your own company, a company that is profitable. So most of the people, if we have noticed that most companies, most textile industries, they close because the people who will be working there, the mentality to connect business-wise and the textile industry, most of the time is a little bit weak. So we need our students, our learners to understand now the field of clothing versus the business. How do they interact so that at the end of the day, they can manage. The other aspect is pattern making, which is very critical. When we are talking of pattern making, there is a fashion illustration where a learner need to draw the diagram, need to understand a certain type, need to understand certain shapes. At the end of the day, these people, you find they need to make patterns, and also they need to cut. So we teach them how to cut. Also, at the same time, after cutting, they need to produce a certain article that will fit an individual. Thank you, Madam Betty. To just summarize, these are some of the components that we've put into the curriculum so that the curriculum is viable to the society for sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. I see, Mr. Chipindi,
Yeah.
you have your hand up. Perhaps you want to make a contribution. Mr. Chipindi, are you here?
Yes, Madam. I had my hand up. I just wanted to thank you for the insightful discussion. Yes. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes, I was saying thank you for the insightful discussion we are following. Yes, I was just curious in terms of how are you tapping into the indigenous knowledge? Because I sometimes feel most of the conversations around recycling, sorry to use this word, are sort of Western influenced. So I don't know how we are dealing with traditional knowledge, how we are tapping into traditional knowledge. And by tapping into traditional knowledge, I'm not just saying how are we tapping into the knowledge itself, but how are we networking with some of the traditional people, the people who are skilled. They may not have gone to university, but they are skilled in some of these methods of recycling. I remember when we were growing up, we had a lot of these duvets which were made from clothes and things like that. I don't know what they were called. I've even forgotten the name.
I think they were
so I don't know how we are
quilts.
tapping into that. So that's my first question. The second question is how has been the response? I remember we had a program for fashion and at Evelyn Horn, but it was discontinued because the response was not very good. How has been the response so far in regard of the sector generally, even without the bursary system?
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you, Professor. You can go ahead.
Yes, Madam. Okay, thank you very much. The response is, there are two questions that I'm supposed to handle. What is the response without bursaries, and then also at the same time, skilled people and the institution. How are you interacting with those people who are maybe in different provinces? How are you tapping the information from there? So I'll answer the second question first, the response. The response in terms of textile, it has been overwhelming at Rockville University, with or without bursaries, because students, even the society, they keep on asking for this program. For example, to be frank with you, for us to introduce a certificate at Rockville University, it was not an idea which really came from Rockville University. It was an idea which came from the society, where the society now was saying, no, as I can manage this, or I don't have this ability to make a skate. So how as Rockville University are you going to assist me? That's when we introduced a certificate so that we can assist those people without papers, maybe again without 5 levels. So this program where we have a certificate, it encompasses everyone. Even someone with the 5 levels can do that, provided the person want the skill and want to get the knowledge about textile. So that's how, that's why I've said the response have been overwhelming. Why am I saying that? You might get worried why I've said overwhelming. Looking at the comparison with other universities, you'll find that textile program, they don't have a lot of students, but at Rockville University, we've managed to tap a lot of students because we've managed to acquire personnel that are well knowledge about the subject, and we keep on interacting with the other sectors. Like, and a good example that now I'm answering the second question, a good example that I'll give you, people who are skilled, but they are not knowledgeable, they don't have papers maybe. We identify such. We also invite them to our institution to assist us in impacting knowledge to the learners. So you find that this is another collaboration that we have been putting in place. Someone who can dye nice things down there in remote areas using the natural dyes, you find that yes, this person needed to be equipped with information. So it's very cardinal. That's what we do at Rockville University. Everyone is important in the textile industry. That's what we always tell each other at Rockville University. So we need to tap as much information as possible. Like last time, we're involving a certain lady who knows about how to knit jerseys. So that lady, myself, she started orienting us on how to do that, because as an individual alone in textile industry, you can't manage, because textile industry, it has a lot of different branches that it has, and these, they make us specialists in different entities. Thank you very much. Madam Betty.
Thank you, Professor. I think it's interesting to hear all these.
Madam Betty.
Yes.
Madam Betty, I just
Yes,
wanted to
Mr.
let you know that I'm in.
Yes. Actually, I was going to introduce you now because I saw that when you came in, but I think Professor was on the floor and I was not able to. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you were quite committed in the morning, but thank you that you have made it through and you are here with us now.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Mwewa, you are from Expressive Arts Teachers Association of Zambia. Please go ahead and talk a little bit more about the association and what you are doing with the expressive arts in schools, and how you are handling it, and how it is going, and the challenges that you're having, and what you hope to achieve maybe in the next 5-10 years from now.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so as introduced, I'm Rogers Mwewa. I'm the president for Expressive Arts Teachers Association of Zambia. Now, in the ministry, we have got subject associations. These were made or introduced by the ministry to bring out issues pertaining to the teaching of various specific subjects, bring out the challenges and other techniques or best techniques that the teachers can use in teaching those in the teaching of those subjects, and in a way bring them out to the ministry so the ministry can find solutions or note the problem that the teachers are facing, so that ultimately the results in terms of examinations or the performance nationally in those subjects is improved. So this is a purely an association led by teachers. You may wish to know that other subjects like mathematics, language, and these other subjects, they also have these similar subject associations I'm talking about. So as presidents, we meet. I report to, personally, I report to the PS, the permanent secretary. This is because he has to get very first-hand information, which we get directly through interaction with the teachers to the minister, so that he can act on those things. But we are under the Education Directorate as a board of teachers. So what am I saying? I'm saying that our main core is to improve the performance at national level of these subjects that we are leading. As for our association, we meet as teachers professionally to interact and find better ways, professional ways of how we can better our teaching skills as teachers, so that ultimately the child benefits from our teaching skills. So we share the problem that we face, and also we look at how we can develop other ideas in terms of fostering the teaching of that subject ahead. So basically that is our mandate. So as a leadership of the Expressive Arts Teachers Association, our groupings there in this association has music teachers and art and design teachers. I must mention here that at a school level, the subject groupings are 3 instead of 2. At 3 at a school level, which includes physical education. But at national, but in the subjects association, we are 2. There are 2 groupings of subjects. That is musical arts education and the art and design education. Now, you may wish to know why at national or at the social level, the other entity is not there. It's not there because it's also a standalone association. So there's what we call PESTAS, which is in charge of sports and physical education as an association on its own. Therefore, they could not be folded and wrapped and join the other association. Our goal actually for art and design and music teachers is that we are looking at expressive arts. So our goal is to ensure that we integrate the teaching of arts with the art practicing artists that are there in the world. We integrate ours is actually the educational part. Currently, there's more and more information available that shows how crucial arts integration is, creating a well-rounded artisans and fashion designers. If I may wish to particularize. there's more information which proves that the aspect of art education is very, very important to ensure that the artists that we are producing do not only artistically create things that they create, but they understand what they are doing. So as an art education group, we want to impart skills in our learners, which will promote critical thinking. It has to promote critical thinking in the children so that whatever changes that the world is undergoing, whatever the world is experiencing, right now we are talking about environmental changes, global warming and so on. These children should be able to interpret in their artistic creations things that they can communicate to the world with that full understanding. So in short, we are saying that art-based education will power their creative nature so that their mind is set to not only imagine things, but also relate well with the community, socially, economically, culturally, and other things. I may wish to pause here, Betty.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mwewa. So with all these activities that you are doing, and especially the work that you're doing with the teachers, may I ask the type of infrastructure that is in the schools? I want to believe that you are working with secondary schools and and primary schools.
Yes.
Okay. So, like, what kind of infrastructure is in these institutions that you know, encourage activities from the learners? You know, when you talk, especially when you're talking about fashion or you're talking about you know, art that requires students to work with materials. First of all, do the schools have infrastructure? And if they do, how easy is it to access materials for practice? And you know, also maybe if the infrastructure is not there, does this how do teachers take it? You know, for them to be able to teach or to deliver the intended lessons to the students?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to state very clearly here that the infrastructure is has always been there, except that we are seeing quite a good number of schools coming up. Our challenge at the moment, as opposed to the old schools, if you look at, I'll give an example of Kablonga boys, the Munali boys, Kablonga girls, all these old schools, Kamwala, you find that when they designed these schools, they made sure that creative arts was given a specialized room. So these schools have got specialized rooms where art is taught, music and art is taught. Right now, we have some schools that unfortunately were built forgetting that aspect of the expressive arts. And therefore, a few schools that we have maybe nationally have gone around, and you find that when they were building those schools, because of certain changes in the policies, some omitted to actually build the specialized rooms for those schools. But those are a few that I'm talking about. Now, if you look at the revised curriculum, the curriculum that we are using now, which was revised just not too long ago, from about 2013 or so, the emphasis, government realized that without art, the children cannot fully develop into whatever we want them to develop. Art becomes something that promotes, as proven, it promotes critical thinking, like I said, and a very sober mindset. So government realized that they needed not only in terms of socially, creating a very assertive citizens, but government realized that economically the white collar jobs were diminishing. White or blue collar jobs were not available, and we are seeing an economy where innovation and self small scale businesses started mushrooming, meaning that one has to find something to do to make money. So they looked around and said, look, if we are going to promote these subjects that can make a child sustain their life through creative art, then we must put in something that will actually promote the teaching of these subjects. And I must tell you that materials started flowing in. We could go to the ministry and the ministry would actually give us materials. I know books were distributed. Art and design books have been distributed in various schools, and even materials. We are talking about pens, brushes, and so on. So government started distributing materials to promote the teaching of the arts in schools, especially art and design. When you go to some schools, government actually donated or gave out musical instruments to various schools. The idea behind that was to promote these the teaching of these subjects. We saw a good number of musicians, you know, who had nothing, but upon singing 2, 3, 4 songs, became celebrities. And so government realized that arts can actually transform these youth into very, very prominent people and create for them. So musical arts education, government has realized it's a very powerful unit which needs to be supported, and the government is supporting that. Art and design, visual artists have actually gone as far as outside the country to others are lecturing. I'm sure you know Mr. William Miko, who has been a very, very good inspiration for this country. He's a lecturer at Zambian Open University, has actually lectured outside the country, you know, at some universities in Europe. And that's how proud the visual arts are in terms of looking at how far one can go in the progression of the arts. So we are looking at what benefits are these, what benefits is this support, to what benefit is government support going to what extent is this support going to be, which is coming from government? We are seeing that the youth will be empowered, youth will be self-sustaining in terms of creating wealth. They will not be waiting to be employed. They can create an industry in the arts from which they can earn a living, a good, decent living, actually. And that has been proven, not only in the musical industry, but also in the visual arts. So government, in a nutshell, is giving support. Specialized rooms now, they have made it a must. And like I was saying that I was referring to the curriculum which has been revised. The pathways, one of the pathways the government has created is that one for creative arts. So you know that certain schools, when you go there, they would categorically tell you if it's a creative industry pathway, then children, the emphasis on children doing these arts subjects that I've highlighted.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Mr. Mwewa. You seem to be having a lot of support from government. Do you have any
Yes.
support from any other institutions, maybe private institutions that are working closely with expressive?
Yes, our association, Expressive Arts is getting massive support from a private art institution, which is Leche Trust. I'm sure you know that Leche Trust chairperson is Mrs. Zukas. So Mrs. Zukas is the chairperson of Leche Trust. Leche Trust is one of the institutions that has supported the arts from way back. Zambian art, have promoted, it has promoted Zambian art to an extent that we realize that there's no other institution in Zambia that has promoted the Zambian art the way Leche Trust has done. And they have promoted arts in the way that they even sponsor students abroad to study art. What we usually call, I usually call it a national anomaly, where, you know, we are talking about 50 years of independence. Zambia doesn't have a well-recognized university which just teaches the arts. I call it a national anomaly because it has taken all that long for us to realize how important art is, and that's very unfortunate. And you find that because of that gap that has been there in the arts education, Lecture Trust came in to sponsor young upcoming artists that were promising in terms of talent abroad to study art. And when they have come back, they have also started contributing to the promotion of the arts in Zambia. Mr. Makashi is one of them, has been at NAC for quite some time. Mr. Miko, Mr. Patrick Mumba from Evelyn Hond is the Dean of the School of Art there. All these were sponsored by Lecture Trust at some point abroad. And they have come back and made a greater contribution to the promotion of the arts. So Lecture now, even as at now, is trying to partner with us in trying to support the arts at whatever level. Most of our conferences, even the last conference we had, the national conference we had in Mansa for teachers of art and music, it was sponsored by Lecture Trust in terms of material and other logistics. So they have been coming in to see to it that the teachers begin to appreciate the importance of the teaching of arts in this country.
Thank you so much. But even as the teachers appreciating the support and everything, I know that at some point society would label artists or people who are doing music or fashion to be people who are academically challenged. What would you say is your position on this one? As an association, perhaps how
it's
are
unfortunate
you?
Actually, Betty, what you are saying, you have just said the right thing. We still face stigma. Can you imagine that even amongst ourselves as teachers? You know, Evelyn Horn provides a course, art course, a 3-year diploma course, which the major subjects there is art and design, and you have a minor English language. There's also musical arts education where the major is musical arts and you have a minor English language. And you would not believe that those teachers that were offloaded into the system went into the system and found this culture. I don't know. I can't even call it culture. A negative perception. They found a negative perception that those who study art are academically challenged. Yes, yeah. And so in the staff rooms, they would, whenever there's an introduction session going on, they would say, introduce yourself and tell us what subjects you offer. And this teacher rises up and says, I'm so and so, I offer English language. Someone went to the course which the main subject, the core subject that he went to is art and design, but he doesn't mention it. He resorts to teaching the English language. There's that inferiority complex that develops in that person, not to be proud of the subjects that he was trained to teach, even to talk about in public. So we've been wondering as we go around, when we find such teachers, we ask them and they have told us no, because people look down upon the subjects. And it's very, very disheartening. I cannot even explain how bad sometimes we've felt, but gradually, because of the promotion of the subjects, you remember that we are one of the subjects that has been producing 100% at national level in terms of pass rate. And government has been praising the subject association and the art teachers and music teachers in terms of producing good results. And now people are seeing, like parents, they would come bring their children, and you want the parents want the child to be in the science class or mathematics class. They would not want the child to study, because even the parents out there in the community, they tend to think that a child who studies art won't do anything. So we try to labor to open their mind and tell them that, look at ZNBC, a graphic designer. For you to enjoy that TV, the adverts that you watch on TV, that graphics that you see, somebody had to study that art and be employed. For someone to change the studio, for a studio to, setting any program that is coming, because you find that a TV station just has 1 or 2 studios. But how does it seem as if they have so many rooms? It's because there are set designers out there who changes the set every time there's a new program. And somebody has to study art to do that job. Okay, there are so many areas I can go on. Who does the design cover for a book, like publishing houses? Those illustrations in the books, who does them? Somebody has to be employed by a publishing company to do the illustrations on a book. Okay, I can go on. The fashion industry is also another area which has performed very well. So when you begin to tell parents that there are so many jobs that we can't even finish talking about them in the arts, and your child will find something better to do and create wealth, that is when they realize, say, oh, then we didn't know. And what is causing that is because as a nation, we have put arts education at the least of the ladder. We didn't promote it. We didn't realize its importance. And so people finish school. There are even professors right now who don't understand art. And when you tell them that China developed or is where it is today because they started with the arts and not science, and that's a fact, and someone will say, yes, you are very right. And you wonder why they would not look at art as very important in their own country. And yet the history tells us that the arts have made other nations greater instead of science itself. So
Yes,
in a nutshell, I want to say that the inferiority complex, we've been battling with it. That negative perception has been with the society. But of late, teachers are coming up with self-esteem, which is quite good. They are now very proud. This time I'm seeing teachers who are standing up and say, I just want to teach art in school because that's what I was trained for. And we are promoting that. Where we go to a school and find the head teacher is not supporting the teacher, we go in and write the ministry and ask that we cancel that head teacher to make them believe that art is also important in that institution and it can be taught. So
yes,
there's an improvement of late in terms of the perception.
I think that is good to know. You
Yeah.
you seem to have a lot of work to do in that area. I can see Mr. Chibwinja, you have your hand up. Perhaps you want to ask something.
Okay, let me listen to others as well.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chibwinja. Or
Yes,
is it
Madam.
Professor?
Yes,
Or
I'm using
Professor?
Mr. Minja's gadget. Yes.
Okay, okay.
I was following the discussion. I've been following the discussion. I have a question on the issue of expressive arts. But before the question, let me also add on what the sir has been saying. Also, Rockville University offers art and design at different levels. So I heard that some universities are not offering. Rockville University is also offering art and design from diploma up to degree to PhD. We have PhD holders in art and design. At the same time, even music, we are offering also at different levels. So as expressive arts, we have managed also to harness as Rockville University to keep it a bit so that people can understand what expressive arts. I'll concur with him. I'm one of the people that at one point, some people came to me and said they wanted to see my grade 12 results because they were doubting if I passed because textile is done by Dao people. So to their surprise, they were shocked that even mathematics had an a distinction, physics have an A, then even biology have an A. Doing textile and design is by choice, where the heart say, I want to do this and we want to spearhead this. So I think we need to remove that notion in our head that it is done by people who are very down. So even people who have a lot of other subjects that they've acquired, they can do any expressive arts subject and manage to excel in their life and even get different positions, but still their major is under expressive arts. A good example is our Rockville University Vice Chancellor, Professor Hosea Chisha. He's a home economics expert, but he's a Vice Chancellor. We have different people who are in high position, but they've done expressive arts. So that notion I think is thing of the past, which need to be taken note. Again, Expressive as some of the components, people think that they are only done by a certain grouping. Is this textile is only for ladies? This one is only for gentlemen. It's not like that. It depends with the interest as we work towards sustainability and developing the country. The question that I had to Sir is, so I've been asking my question, myself, how many schools do offer fashion and fabrics? So that at the end of the day, these, if they are men and what, sometimes we tend to see a hiccup when we are now talking of tertiary education, diploma, certificate, and other levels, because maybe there is a gap there. So I think maybe you can clear the air. Madam Betty, back to you.
So maybe Mr. Mwawa, you can quickly answer that one, as we seem to be running out of time. It's been a very interesting conversation, and I hope that we can continue with maybe quickly, Mr. Mwawa, you can answer that one.
Very interesting indeed.
Okay. What I wanted to say is, you know, for fashion and fabrics at a school level, you know, there's no, I must say that it has to be, because here we are dealing with level 12. So there has to be a topic that actually relates to that. And when you look at the curriculum under the topic for senior secondary art and design, you will find that the topic just talks about, like you introduce, you talk about design, and it just talks about what fabrics are, the designs that you can make, and so on. So it's not a very wide topic which the children can actually explore so much. Theoretically, the teachers will introduce it and just introduce certain concepts in fashion and design and the fabrics, and talk about all those that fall under that topic. But as to say you go in the way it is at tertiary level, I think that's where now the tertiary institution can usually pick it up. It's unfortunate that when we are checking the schemes of work at grade 12 for teachers, some teachers omit certain topics. And we've been emphasizing to say, look, now that they have given you the mandate to administer practical topics at school level, because now what has remained with the curriculum, I'm sure you are aware that ECZ is just examining the theory now in terms of the invigilated exam. But the other 50% has to be done at school level practically. So meaning that the teacher has an interaction with the children in terms of activities, and then they choose of course they scheme, and they have to scheme in such a way that they do all the practical topics at school level, compile the marks that the children get in those tasks, and then find the average, which should not exceed almost 50% of the marks. And that is what they send to ECZ. So we have observed that there's a lapse. I don't know whether I can call it a lapse or just some neglect in terms of certain topics by the teachers. The way it was in the past, I think it was better, because you will be subjected. You don't know what the ECZ do test, so the teacher is subjected to do all sorts of practical exercises, knowing that the children might be given something that he didn't expect. But here, where teachers are choosing for themselves and administer the what we call the exams, some are not doing so, and you find the child has got a distinction in art, but when they go to a tertiary education and maybe they go and study fashion and fabrics, the lecturers there find that the children are not competent, and yet they scored high at grade 12. So we are trying to fill up these gaps that we're experiencing, that some of our learners, when they go to tertiary institutions, they behave as if they didn't have the foundation. They behave as if they didn't have the foundation. But at grade 12 level, you may wish to, you may know, you may understand that obviously they cannot go so much into details in terms of studying that particular subject that our sir has brought out.
Yeah, and these are the things, I think, the challenges that we were hoping to bring out and see where we can come in and what can be done. So I think looking at time again, we initially we were supposed to end like 30 minutes ago, but the conversation I think is really interesting, and I would like to invite all of you again to perhaps when people have sent in their questions, my question would be, would you be willing to provide answers to the questions that people will provide, so that we can begin to look at a way forward of bringing people from the secondary schools and bringing them into the tertiary education, and then Mr. Chipingi now can be able to deal with good people, good creatives in the society, Mr. Banda as well from the British Council. Yeah, and I think, I don't know if you have one more question, Professor, before we can wind up.
It's fine, a good discussion. Thank you very much for the interactive.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I can see that we are now joined by one more lady, Madam Piri, and but I've been with you all this while, and I've been the only female. So I hope that next time we can have more females on the panel to just balance out things and be able to bring in all thoughts in one place. But thank you so much. Maybe a last word from Mr. Banda, Mr. Akin Banda from the British Council as we are closing our conversation. We'll be sure to send you the questions that the public is going to ask, and then we'll definitely come up with a document that we can share and hopefully move forward from there. Mr. Banda, are you with us?
Yes, Betty, thank you so much. I think this was very exciting. I think I know that it will actually just attract a lot of questions as well when it goes out, which is great. I think it's a good start. And I'm so excited to hear passionate people speak, both from Rockview University as well as the Mr. Mwewa from the Expressive Arts team there. I think this is great, and I'm hoping that this is a start and will generate more discussions, but again, action points and recommendations eventually, and let's see how we can implement this going forward. I like the idea of challenging people to say you shouldn't have been obtained good grades for you to do a fashion design or whatever. I think that perception should go. And it begins with parents as well, because when a child says, I want to do fashion and design, and not just fashion and design, but just creative in general. If one wants to be a creative, they'll be like, oh, come on, go and do engineering at Tunza, or go and do engineering at Rockview University, or whatever it is. Those are courses that you should be doing other than being a creative. I think we need to challenge that perception. That stereotype should go. And these discussions are just one way that can be able to respond to such wrong views that people have. So thank you so much, Betty, for putting this together. And I'm looking forward to more discussions. And thank you so much, gentlemen, and a lady eventually. But I think I do agree with you, Betty. We need to balance up next time. Let's have gender inclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Just the last word, just thanking everyone, Dr. Tshala, Mr. Mwewa, Professor Kanyati, Mr. Wumba, Mr. Mwewa, Mr. Chibwinja also for the technical support. And everybody, Madam Piri, thank you so much for joining the discussion. And we look forward to hearing more from the public and also from you as we interact more in other conversations. Mr. Chipinji, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to another.